Hello and welcome to Cosmological Arguments. I'm your host, John Bannon. Debunking Atheism, Volume 3. In this video, I'm going to go over a serious atheistic objection to the existence of God, and then I'm going to explain to you how to get out of it and what the solution to it is. Now, the atheistic objection that I'm talking about essentially equates God with nothingness and disproves the existence of God by saying that God is the same thing as nothing and there is no such thing as God. You're really just worshiping nothing. So, how does this argument go? Well, it says that something from nothing has no explanation. God being uncaused has no explanation. An uncaused thing is something that has no cause, therefore there's no way to explain it. So an uncaused thing has no explanation, and because God is uncaused, God has no explanation. Uh, Therefore, if God causes something to exist, then that has no explanation, because God doesn't have an explanation. So something from nothing and something from God both have no explanation. And therefore, God equals nothing. So the atheist argument is God is the same thing as nothing. Um, Therefore, God doesn't exist. Uh, and well, what's the explanation? How do you get out of this argument? All right. Well, The way to get out of this argument is to understand the essential difference between God and nothing. There's an ancient philosophical truth called ex nihilo nihil fit, which is Latin for uh, from nothing comes nothing, or you can't get something from nothing. So nothing can't create something. It's not possible. It's an impossibility. They are contradictory states. Um, so nothing can't create anything. It doesn't have the power to create. So because there is in fact something in existence, we're proof of that. The fact that we exist is proof that there's something in existence. It means that nothing cannot be the case because nothing cannot create something. So when you're talking about what created something or reality, it clearly is not nothing, because by definition, nothing cannot create anything. So it can't be nothing. So we're talking about something else. We're talking about something that has no explanation, but has the power to create something. And this is what we refer to as God. That's the essential difference between God and nothing. God has the power to create something, even though God is uncaused and has no explanation, just like nothing has no explanation. Nonetheless, the essential difference between God and nothing is that God has the power to create something, despite the fact that God is unexplicable or unexplained or has no explanation for its existence, because God is uncaused, and an uncaused thing has no causal explanation that you can give for its existence. Whereas nothing, by definition, cannot create something. So when we're talking about God, we're talking about something that's um, uncaused and has no explanation, but nonetheless has the power to create something. That's the difference between God and nothing. Nothing does not have the power to create anything. All right, so one second. So God is not nothing. They're not equated. They are not the same thing. Nothing cannot create something. Whereas God, which is uncaused and has no explanation for his existence, has the power to create something. Essential difference. So What are we talking about? What is this thing? It's mysterious and uncaused power to create physical reality is mysterious. It has no cause for its own existence, so there's no way to explain how it does things because it has no cause. There's nothing to explain. It's unexplainable or inexplicable, or there's no explanation for its existence. There's no way to explain it. But nonetheless, is real because reality is real. Things exist, we exist, so it has to be real. And it can't be nothing because we wouldn't be here if it was nothing. So that brings us to really the ultimate question when it comes to the existence of God is how do we know that this uncaused reality that has no explanation for its existence is intelligent? Because if it's not intelligent, then we're not talking about God. When we talk about God, we're talking about something that's intelligent, something that has a purpose and plan for us, something that is self aware. If it's purely a mechanistic entity that has no awareness or plan or purpose, that's clearly not what we refer to when we talk about God. So ultimately, the biggest question really is how do we know that this uncaused metaphysical cause of physical reality is intelligent? That's the big question. It all boils down to this one big question. Because if the uncaused metaphysical cause is not intelligent, then that is not God. And uh, this needs to be answered. So, why is it that this uncaused cause of physical reality that has no explanation for its existence um, and no way to explain how it does what it does? How do we know that this is intelligent? How do we know that this is God? Well, there are arguments for why the uncaused metaphysical cause has to be intelligent, and I'll give you that. Um, I I find that the best argument is the argument from the dichotomy of existence, which is one of the cosmological arguments for the existence of God. Now, this argument uh, is premised on the idea of everythingness, and that is God's uncaused power to create everything that is logically possible in physical reality. So, a key concept is everythingness. So everythingness is God's uncaused power to create everything that is logically possible in physical reality. So, because God has the power to create everything that is logically possible, um, everything that is logically possible would include those things that can only be created by an intelligent being. So, as an analogy, or for example, think of the Mona Lisa hanging in the Louvre in France. Now, that painting was created by Leonardo da Vinci, an intelligent being. That painting could not have been created by anyone except Leonardo da Vinci and an intelligent being. So, the simple fact that the Mona Lisa exists is proof that an intelligent being called Leonardo da Vinci existed in order to create it, because that's the only way it could ever come into existence. Intelligent beings have the ability to create things above and beyond what unintelligent things can create. That's true. And by analogy, uh, everythingness includes those things that can only be created by intelligent beings, because those things are logically possible. We know that because of the Mona Lisa, for example. We know it's logically possible for things that are only capable of being created by intelligent beings to also exist. It's logically possible. But without those intelligent beings, Mona Lisas are impossible. So intelligent beings have to exist in order for a Mona Lisa to exist. Well, by analogy, you can say the same thing about everythingness in a universal sense, that in order for everythingness to be possible, that there is the possibility to create everything that is logically possible. Well, that means that whatever is deciding on what gets created and what doesn't must be intelligent and must have the greatest extent of uh, decision making ability logically possible. So it's an argument from quantity. Essentially, the argument is that more things can be created by an intelligent creator than by an unintelligent creator. And because those things are logically possible, then an intelligent creator is necessary in order for these things to be possibly created. So, the full scope of everythingness, the fullness of everythingness, requires the greatest intelligence in terms of a creator that's logically possible, because that encompasses the greatest quantity of things that are logically possible to be created. So, under everythingness, the fullest extent of everythingness requires the greatest extent of decision making ability by the creator of physical reality. And that's derived from the fact that there is this thing, everythingness, meaning there's this uncaused power to create everything that is logically possible in physical reality. So, an intelligent creator is a direct result of everythingness and the fact that there's no reason why everything that is logically possible couldn't be created. Um, so now it's important to understand that I'm not saying that the Mona Lisa could only exist if God existed. I'm not. The Mona Lisa could only exist if Leonardo Leonardo da Vinci existed. Leonardo da Vinci's existence is based on the existence of the universe, and the universe is unintelligent. So, in that sense, the universe and unintelligence is responsible for the creation of the Mona Lisa. But I'm talking about in a universal sense of everything that is logically possible in creation that can be created. That the decision maker on what gets created and what does not would have to have the greatest extent of intelligence or decision making capacity, so that you'd have the fullest extent of everythingness and the greatest quantity of things that could be created in a universal sense. All right, so that's a very good reason why this um, uncaused metaphysical cause of reality, this inexplicable cause, has to be intelligent. We know that intelligence is logically possible because we exist and we're intelligent. So intelligence is logically possible. So we know that that sort of at least human level of intelligence is also logically possible under everythingness. And God's level of intelligence would be the greatest intelligence logically possible, which obviously is going to be far beyond human intelligence. It's the greatest intelligence logically possible. So that's far, far smarter than a human being. God is, the greatest intelligence that exists. Okay, so that's my first argument for why God has to be intelligent, and that's a result of the dichotomy of existence. Um, a second argument for why God has to be intelligent is a fairly simple argument. Um, in reality, in physical reality, we don't see everything that is logically possible being created. We see less than that. So, if the cause of physical reality was mechanistic or unintelligent, then it couldn't stop itself from creating less than everything it was capable of creating. So, because we see less than everything that is possible in physical creation, that means the creator must be capable of holding back on creating everything that is logically possible. It can't be a mechanistic creator, because a mechanistic creator can't hold back. It has no choice. It's like a clockwork. It works a certain way, and it can't deviate from that. And it's got to give you everything it's capable of giving, because it has no way of holding back. Only an intelligent creator can hold back. And because in physical reality we see less than everything that is logically possible in creation, that means the Creator has to be holding back on other things that are logically possible in physical reality. And that means the Creator has to be intelligent in order to hold back on creation. So the second argument is uh, so the Creator of physical reality must be intelligent to hold back on creating everything that is logically possible, because we see less than everything logically possible being created in the cosmos. Now, uh, St. Thomas Aquinas also has his explanation as to why the uncaused metaphysical cause of physical reality has to be intelligent. Those he gives four explanations, and he sets those out in his work, the Summa Contra Gentiles. So, in chapter 54 of the Summa Contra Gentiles, you'll find this. Now, his first argument is that it says, in no order of causes is it found that an intelligent cause is the instrument of an unintelligent one. But all causes in the world stand to the prime mover, which is God, as instruments to the principal agent. Since then in the world there are found many intelligent causes, the prime mover cannot possibly cause unintelligently. So what this is saying is, in reality, in the cosmos, you never see an intelligent being being the instrument of an unintelligent cause. And since God is the prime mover of everything, then that first mover or prime mover would have to be intelligent. In other words, the tail doesn't lead the dog leads the tail. So the intelligence of the dog's brain is what's leading everything. It's not the tail wagging the dog, it's the dog wagging the tail. So that's the first argument. And the ultimate prime mover of everything has to be the intelligence of the dog, essentially, that's wagging the tail. It has to be an intelligent mover, because you never see a tail wagging a dog. All right. His second argument is no perfection is wanting in God that is found in any kind of being, nor does any manner of composition result in him for all that. But among the perfections of creatures, the highest is the possession of understanding. For by understanding a thing is in a manner all things, having in itself the perfections of all things. So this argument is essentially saying God has all perfections. And because intelligence or understanding is an aspect of all perfections, God must have that. And indeed, understanding is the greatest perfection there is, because it encompasses understanding all other things. And therefore, God must have this great intelligence, this greatest of perfections, perfected in God. Aquinas' third argument is everything that tends definitely to an end either fixes its own end or has its end fixed for it by another. Otherwise, it would not tend rather to this end than to that. But the operations of nature tend to definite ends. The gains of nature are not made by chance. For if they were, they would not be the rule, but the exception, for chance is of exceptional cases. Since then, physical agents do not fix their own end, because they have no idea of an end, they must have an end fixed for them by another, who is the author of nature. But he could not fix an end for nature had he not himself understanding. So what this argument is saying is that because the cosmos has a purpose of design, that there must be an intelligence fixing that purpose, because unintelligent things can't fix their own purposes or designs. They're unintelligent. They can't do that. So the simple fact that there appears to be a purpose, an ends, a design to physical reality in the universe means that the creator of that reality, that universe, has to be intelligent in order to give it that design and purpose, because an unintelligent thing can't give itself design and purpose. Uh, um, so that's similar to Aquinas's cosmological argument from design. His Aquinas's fourth argument goes this way: everything imperfect is derived from something perfect, for perfection is naturally prior to imperfection, as actuality to potentiality. But the forms that exist in particular things are imperfect for the very reason that they do exist in particular, and not in the universality of their idea or the fullness of their ideal being. They must therefore be derived from some perfect forms which are not under particular limitations. Such forms cannot be other than objects of understanding, seeing that no form is found in its universally or ideal fullness except in the understanding. Consequently, such forms must be endowed with understanding if they are to subsist by themselves, for only by that endowment can they be operative. God, therefore, who is the first actuality, existing by itself, uh, whence all others are derived, must be endowed with understanding. Now, this argument essentially says that understanding uh, is really the perfection of any form. Any physical form also has this metaphysical form, like a Platonic form, for example. But the greatest encapsulation of a form requires understanding. So, for example, this is a particular pen, but the idea of a pen is a metaphysical form. You can't see it, but this particular object falls in that category. But the idea of a metaphysical pen, that idea, requires intelligence to understand it. You can't have a metaphysical form or an idea without an intelligence uh, that creates it. So the existence of metaphysical forms, these Platonic forms, ultimately require an understanding and intelligence. And the greatest of all independent forms, subsistent form would be God. So a metaphysical form that understands everything would have to be intelligent, and that's what we call God. Um, okay, so there's some arguments for why God has to be intelligent. Now, I'll also mention the argument by William Lane Craig, which is part of his cosmological argument, the Kalam cosmological argument. Um, his argument is that because the universe was created at a particular time, then the creator must be intelligent in order to hold back on the creation of the universe. Otherwise, the universe would have been created an infinitely long time ago because a mechanistic creator couldn't hold back. Like a watch, a clockwork, it goes and it's set, it's deterministic, and it doesn't have the ability to hold back on what it does. It simply does what it does, and it does it now. And if the creator were such a thing, such an unintelligent thing like a clockwork, the universe would have been created an infinitely long time ago because it couldn't hold back on creating the universe until just 13.8 billion years ago. So that holding back on creation is what William Lane Craig uses to explain why God must be intelligent. Now, that explanation is my least favorite of them all because it assumes God is subject to time, and that an infinite amount of time prior to the creation of the universe existed, and um, once you subject God to time, then time is greater than God, and then you can ask, well, what created time? And that whatever created time created God, and then you have a God that's being created by another God, and then you have the problem of what created that, and then you have an infinite series of creation problems, which is the turtles all the way down atheistic objection. And I'm not sure how William Lane Craig gets out of that. But I thought I would mention what his explanation for why God must be intelligent is. Okay, now I've addressed the atheistic objection and I've debunked it for you, and I explained to you why God needs to be intelligent, and that's really the ultimate question when it comes to the existence of God. Does God have to be intelligent? And there's good reason to believe, yes, the creator, even the creator without his own explanation for his existence, why that creator has to be an intelligent creator. And ultimately, that's what it really comes down to. God is an intelligent being who knows you exist and who is self-aware. A mechanistic creator isn't what we call God, and certainly isn't worth worshiping, since an unintelligent creator wouldn't even know you were worshiping them to begin with, and your creation would have been without plan or purpose. So I hope you learned something, and this answers some of the most difficult questions that atheists can raise. So take care, everybody.